Welcome to Otakus Geeks The Hour. Join Justin, Nadya, Sean, Jerrell, and guest panelists as they discuss the latest news, give reviews, and conduct interviews in all things entertainment. Without further ado, let's start the show.
Welcome to Otakus Geeks. This is the hour, and this, as the intro said, we are going to be talking a lot about some of the latest news, give some reviews, to some interviews from time to time. I am Justin. I am the co-founder of OtakusGeeks.com and founder of Imaginative Visions. And I'm going to pass it to the floor. Everybody else can introduce themselves before we begin, and I start that clock.
You go with this clock. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Icon from Red Eyes Entertainment on YouTube. Please check it out because we just concluded playing Gotham Knights on the YouTube channel, so that's up there. And before we get into Street Fighter 6, we're still doing reviews for Doom Patrol and Titans.
All right, welcome back.
Yeah, this is Sean, VP with Otakus and Geeks, also co-host on Beer and Goods and Chronicles, the podcast. You can check me out on any one of those platforms. You can also check me out here on the Otakus and Geeks.
And last but not least,
what's up, guys? Gotham Geek Girl here. You can find me at Gotham Geek Girl and everything. You can see my movie reviews, geeky stuff, comic reviews, and stay tuned for my Last of Us review as soon as I can talk about it.
All right, and I'm gonna hit that clock, and we're gonna start off with topic one. This episode is strictly about DC. It's a very DC-centric episode. The next one will be all about Marvel. So topic one, we're going to look at the end of the Snyderverse and the Arrowverse and our final thoughts on the old DC, as we know that James Gunn is now CEO of DC Studios, or co-CEO of DC Studios, and is taking over. So Jerrell, you wanted the floor first. So what is your thoughts on the end of Arrowverse, Snyderverse, and your thoughts on the old DC?
Well, the Arrowverse, it's very personal to me because the Arrowverse is what got me back into superheroism because I was about to quit at one point. And it's unfortunate, and I feel like I can say this because I literally watched every single DC CW show, from start to finish, every episode, all the crossovers. So I think I can say, without a shadow of a doubt that unfortunately, it's going to be best remembered for not getting the credit that it probably should have deserved. And I say that based on the story that was told from the beginning. It started with Arrow, and then they brought in the Flash. And then once they brought in the Flash, they told a story with that newspaper of the Flash vanishing in a crisis in the very, very first episode of the Flash. And they built that story through like 9 different shows to where they had a 6-part crossover, which was Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they destroyed the universe. Oliver sacrificed himself to reboot the universe, and it brought everybody together on Earth Prime. We did get cameos from Ezra Miller's Flash and everything. And a lot of people complain about when it comes to like the movie aspect of DC, where like, oh, there's no direction, there's no cohesion, and why can't DC get it together? And I'm just like, well, they are getting it together on TV. It's just that nobody's noticing for some reason. And it is something where you can go back, you can watch the stories that are being told, you can watch everything come together, you can love the characters, you can get to know the characters. So as great as a story as the Arrowverse collectively was, it's just a shame that it's gonna fly under the radar. But I'm excited and sad at the same time because we're getting the 9th season of The Flash, which is The Flash's final season. They did say that Stephen Amell Arrow was going to come back for The Flash's final season, which is weird because he died in Crisis. So I don't know how they're going to bring him back unless Barry goes in time to have a conversation with him. But the Arrowverse will officially conclude with Superman and Lois season 3. And I'm very interested in that because in season 2, Superman took a bath in the sun and separated 2 planets. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell you do in a season 3 after that. But that's it. But from a movie standpoint, it's sad to see that end too, because it's just a shame. Because I said, and I say this all the time, that the problem has always been the executives, and the executives kept Snyder from fully showcasing his vision. We were able to get a look as to what his vision would have been, and you know, like Sean said, that kind of made me even more upset because it's like, now you showed me what I could have got and I know I'm not going to get it now. And, you know, and that's how I felt after I saw Black Adam, because it's like, you know, you gave me something and it's like, now I know I'm not going to get it. So I guess Zack Snyder's going to come out of it looking good, but the old DCU is just going to be known as like too many cooks in the kitchen, like too many hands in the pot. And everybody's going to walk away with the damn, if only we could have syndrome. And that's unfortunate too, because they were starting to bring everything together. Because I don't even know if you guys noticed this, because in the Black Adam movie, when they finally captured him and they brought him like to Waller's secret facility, despite the fact that Viola Davis, Amanda Waller, is like the Nick Fury of the DC universe, but the white girl, the blonde chick who met them when they got to the facility, she was hardcore in the Peacemaker series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, they also had some of the Justice League actors in the Peacemaker series. So like characters were starting to pop up in different places. We heard that Ben Affleck was going to be in the Aquaman movie. So they were bringing it together. And then for me, it's more like, be careful what you wish for, because I've been saying since day one that I wanted the old regime to change. I wanted the executives to get out of the way. I wanted new executives, but now that we got new executives, they're giving me what I wanted, but they're also taking away what I loved. So I'm like, you can't reboot I wanted you to redo the thing, not get rid of all the characters. Like, I don't want to lose Henry Cavill. I don't want to lose Gal Gadot. So it's like, I'm torn, you know, like I'm very torn, but I have to wait and see I'm not even happy about James Gunn, to be honest with you, but I have to wait and see, you know, what he does before I can, you know, fully make like, you know, a critique, but I'm not really too pleased, you know, with that whole thing.
All right. Who
R.I.P.
else
to
wants
the
to take the
Arrowverse.
floor?
Yeah, I'll piggyback off Jerrell. Like, a lot of what he said is true. I'll talk about like Arrowverse first. Like, Jerrell's a much bigger CW fan, as you guys know, but you have to give like the props. Like I've said this before, like, honestly, like Arrow saved the comic like genre when it comes to like live action. Like, people forget how amazing the first 2-3 seasons of Arrow was. And it was a game changer, like absolute game changer. What is it, Greg Berlanti?
Yeah, Greg
and
Berlanti.
What that whole like team did, even building the universe, like bringing us the Flash, a lot of the characters they introduced, and they just did a really great job in the first couple seasons. It's unfortunate that CW will be remembered as like the last couple of seasons haven't been great, but like I said, you have to give props where it's due. Like, the Arrowverse was amazing for it. It was like on top of Marvel at one point. Like, you have to give the props. When it comes to Snyder, like, you know, I'm a big Snyder fan, and it was very like sad to hear, but I am for this new movement, because the only way to get like a proper structure is you have to do a complete reset. Like, they've been dangling too many things. They dangled Cavill. Like, I'm so sad to see him go. I'm a Man of Steel fanatic, but like, they dangled him in the end of Black Adam. They dangled him at the end of Shazam, the end of Peacemaker, when they did that little fake out scene with some of the characters from the Justice League. And it's been too many like fake breadcrumbs. And it kind of like threw everyone off, because we're expecting, like you said, we were expecting to see Ben Affleck come back. We were expecting to see all these different cameos. And then it's like, nope, like, I was playing with you. So it hurt. It really sucks. But I do think a proper reset is to get rid of everyone. It's the only way to start fresh and build a whole new thing. That's what I'm wondering, if the Flash is going to be the like moment where they kind of tie all the universes and start to introduce us to a new cast, like a way to explain everything, I guess. And then, yeah, back to Snyder. Like, I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the episode, but I just wanted to say, like, I think he also needs to get some more respect, because a lot of people forget that he's the one that brought Gal Gadot on. He introduced all of these people that we loved. And yes, it was the studio's interference that destroyed his vision. So people have to stop acting like he's terrible, he's this, he's that. He gave us The Watchmen, which is one of my favorite comic book movies ever. It's like the best adaptation. And Man of Steel is probably one of the top best comic book movies. And yeah, people just got to give him a little more respect as well, because he really did have a vision that unfortunately was interfered with.
Sean?
Well, like, the piggyback, I will say that I did like Justin and I first were on the Arrow universe. Because in the beginning I wasn't into Arrow until I went to like one of my local comic book stores, and one of the guys had like hard to, because like for me, I was a hardcore comic book fan, and I'm like, yo, you know what? I don't want to see them change up stories to fit what everybody else was, because comic books are for us comic book fans, and everybody else jumping on it was just, oh, they just want to be part of the popularity. So he had a great explanation about it. He was like, listen, he was like, you're gonna see Marvel do this also. He was like, can you really do exactly what the comic book does? He was like, you have to put together a comprehensive story that makes sense, that does it. He said, so the example of what he was talking about, he was like, you remember the what do you call it? The Royal Flush Gang. And he was like, you can't have in a show a bunch of people flying around on cards, with different powers. He was like, you have to have something that is realistic to the fans, and for people who casually just watching it. So he said that's why you got the kind of Royal Flush Gang that you got in Arrow the first time. And when he put it in that perspective, I started watching Arrow again, and it made sense. Like a lot of it was really good. They did a lot of things I like Slade and Deathstroke. When they did that in the show, and I really got into it. Like I really had, like, luckily for me, Netflix actually had the first season of Arrow on there, so I got to go back and watch it from the first episode to the last episode. And I think at that time it was like 24 episodes.
Yeah, like 22, 23.
Yeah, 20.
Wow.
So I got to sit back and watch it and then get ready for season 2. And then at the time, they had announced the Flash, so I was just like, oh, okay. And from jump, they did a really good job with the Flash. It was a little cheesy in the beginning. It was, but I understood, like, okay, this is just the start, and the Flash got better and better as the seasons went on. So I got more and more interested. So to the point where this is what I used to watch on. I think it was like what the Flash. I think it was Tuesday and Wednesday. Flash and Arrow, and I was into it, just like a lot of things that I was into. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I'll be honest. I fell off the Walking Dead after they killed Rick off, supposedly, even though he's not. After they, and I stopped watching. And it's the same thing with the CW. I think they got a little too far, and I just got disinterested. Jerrell knows my biggest hate is Heroes of Tomorrow because I think they started out with a good idea, and they just shit the bed right afterwards with it. I did go back on Jerrell's recommendation on the Constantine season.
Oh, when he showed up on,
yeah, because I was a huge fan of the Constantine show, and I think that got, like, I think the WB really lost out on walking away from that, especially when you did the whole, when DC had its app, you had a chance to bring that back, because you have an app now that will show you how many people are actually watching it. And they walked away from that. And then after that, I was like, this season is good. Don't get me wrong. When I saw Puppets of Tomorrow in that season, I was like, I'm about to turn this off. But I still was like, this is what I originally loved about the Arrowverse. Like, this season right here sums it up. And when it comes to the Flash, like, I've lost interest, but I'm sad to see it go, because I do think the Arrowverse was very well done. And, despite a lot of criticism that I give DC, I always said, like, they need to start hiring the people who do the Arrowverse to start doing the DCEU, because they seem to have it right. And everybody else is just not doing it, but they kind of let the disease of what was happening to the DCEU fester over to the Arrowverse, and this is what killed it. And although I understand, because these shows are not going to go on forever. They're not going to, like, any show, even if it's your regular show, you're not going past 10 seasons. 10 years, I think the only show that's gone past it, where even I said was enough is enough, was Supernatural. And Supernatural, I think, was like, what, 18 seasons? Like, 18 years, enough is enough. Like, how many stories are you going to come up with? And I think they're doing a good job letting it go right now. But to see the characters kind of like fade into the background, it is a shame, because they won't get the credit they were. They probably will get the credit on a retrospective, like 10 years down the line. People will start to really recognize how good the Arrowverse was, and they'll get credit then. But that's like anything that's really good and people don't get it at the time. Later, everybody starts to go, that really was good. as far as the DCEU, when it comes to Snyder, it's the same feeling I have with Black Adam. It's 50-50. I think Snyder did a great job starting. Man of Steel is amazing, even though it got shitted on the entire first time Man of Steel came out. People drug that movie. And you see so many reviews of people dragging the movie. And I was like, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
I think he did a real good job picking the people to come in. But where I think he becomes the villain is that instead of having the example of how Superman would have handled everything, he let the toxic fans drag everything off with the Snyderverse. Like, he should have put that in check. When the fans were threatening executives and doing this, he should have said, hey, my vision is my vision, but threatening the executives shouldn't be the way to get my vision out there. You should petition like they did with Constantine, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll see where it goes. If you're a true DC fan, support it and keep it going. But, like, I don't know whether it was his ego or whatever, he let it fester. So I think in that point, the executives are like, you know what? Yeah, we're just going to cut the whole thing. And I think it was a bad idea. And I said that from the get-go. Either you go with it or you don't. You either cut it or you keep it. It's like, if you keep playing with fans, like when they brought out the 4-hour movie, I told all of you guys, I think the movie was great. But it's a little too late now. Like, now you're dividing people again.
Yeah, especially if you're not going to capitalize on it.
Yeah, like you brought out this really good movie, 4 hours. It's fine. Like, you can sit through it. But now you've divided everybody again. Like, they started to heal and now you've divided everybody. No, you should have looked them in the face and said, yo, if we do this, we're going to go ahead with your vision. If not, scrap the whole thing, forget the 4 hours, start over from there. When it came to also another reason why Jerrell's 100% right, the executives are fully to blame. They let The Rock get away with the shit he did. I'm not saying The Rock was terrible in Black Adam. I said in a different review, Black Adam was 50-50. I had my issues with how they handled it, because you can't take a super powered magic user like Dr. Fate, who could clear the board by himself, and literally turn him into Marvel's Doctor Strange, and like the low version of Doctor Strange, like, and sit back and say, okay, this is it. Somebody should have really had the Disney motto of, when The Rock said, I'm not going to be in Shazam because I'm here to play with the big boys. Well, you're not going to play, period. And we can replace you with somebody else to do Shazam. Because
to this day, I still don't know what his problem was with Shazam.
Because Shazam is Black Adam's nemesis. I mean,
really
Black Adam is Shazam's nemesis.
So I know, but I don't understand why he had such a huge problem with it. Yeah, like, he was down for everything but that.
Yeah,
because you don't know The Rock's, like, it's like probably true, but like rumored, like, he has this contract where he can't lose.
Yeah.
So it's essentially his fault for his ego. Like, I think that's why him and Vin Diesel both don't get along, because they have to be the winner. They have to come out on top. And Black Adam is not a hero, but they make him an anti-hero, and he doesn't want to do what the character should do.
Yeah,
he didn't want to put anybody over.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem I had with it, because people were more interested in seeing The Rock. I remember I said this to Justin. Even though the character that's playing Shazam, the adult version now, I think he's done a great job.
Zachary.
I always said, like, you need to have John Cena as the adult version of Shazam, because watching him and The Rock banter back and forth would have made a great movie. But he did. I said, and that was at the time I thought he was with being in Shazam, but to tell them, like, my biggest thing with, I'm going to face Superman. I'm like, you do realize in the comic book, Superman and Black Adam have like one major storyline together. So you're trying to build this universe. You don't need it with that. And that also goes to when I said, even though Josh Whedon's version of the Justice League was not very good, but it was okay, he did leave us with something that they could have built the DCU on, and you should have just bought out the Legion of Doom, because you saw that if you're not going to do Snyder's,
that was in both movies, though.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, he said the exact same thing.
Yeah,
the whole thing about building a team of their own. He said that in the Snyder Cut too.
Yeah. So my thing is, like, if you're not going to go with the Snyder Cut and continue with Darkseid, go with Whedon's verse and build up the Legion of Doom so that we can see So because DC has some of the greatest villains in history, you know, like even to me, being a Marvel fan, more superior than a lot of Marvel villains. Like you have some, like one thing I give DC is they can take the most boring, mundane villain you can think of and turn him into like a powerhouse. Like, come on, Calendar Man. Like Calendar Man really ruined a lot of people's lives, you know, with doing everything. So if you can do that, imagine if you would have done that with an entire league of supervillains to face the Justice League when they looked extremely overpowered. I am sad to see Henry Cavill go because he sacrificed a lot to even stay in there. Gal Gadot, not her fault with Wonder Woman 2, and she did a phenomenal job in Wonder Woman 1, and she was literally, I think, if they would have come up with a great script for 3, it would have put her back on top. Ezra Miller needs to go, and I don't understand why they're continuing to give this man everything he wants. Like, get rid of him.
Yeah, just give us the Flash and then get rid of him.
Yeah, and then you have other characters who were doing such a great job. Like, you know, Amanda Waller is great.
Yeah,
Maker is great. Everything Shazam, all these Aquaman. Like,
what about Blue Beetle?
Yeah, well, Blue Beetle didn't come out yet. And,
no, but I'm afraid now.
and one of the things I'm a little, you know, from hearing some of the behind the scenes stuff, one of the problems I have with Warner Brothers is that they're trying to capitalize on what Disney did with Black Panther. Like now they want to put minorities in the forefront. So now they want to take the one Spanish character and like, oh, we're going to show you we can do that better than Marvel. No, like the reason why Black Panther came out is because it was ahead of it. The writing was great. You got a great producer. Even though I watched what they're trying to do with Blue Beetle, they can have a hit on their hands. But stop building it the wrong way. Just build it as Blue Beetle. We know comic book fans know who he is. They know what he's capable of. I just need a really good movie with that. You can get everything else later. Just build that. Don't try to build it as like, oh, Marvel can do minorities. We can do no. Just give us a Blue Beetle movie that looks.
I thought even the character I would pick. Like if I was trying to do a minority dump, I would have gone with Vixen.
I don't think Vixen is as popular. I think she's popular enough, but I don't think she's as popular as Jaime Reyes and Blue Beetle because a lot of people are really on that from the Young Justice series. So I think
they're hoping to get the Young Justice audience.
Yeah, so I think they would have did that. We don't know. Like they could really keep Shazam, Blue Beetle, and start building from that. But I don't know what if they're going younger, then I can see why both those movies will stay. And they're gonna do like a younger Justice League, like a younger Superman, a younger Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, but we also getting a Peacemaker season 2. I think they finished shooting that.
Well, yeah, hold that thought because that is down the line on the next topic.
So if you're doing all that, like at the end of the day, what are you really doing? Like, I hope James Gunn has a very good plan for this because you're getting rid of. Like, I get the Jason Momoa said, well, if I can't be Aquaman, I think he'd be a really good Lobo. But what else are we going to get? Like, you could also do the same thing with Gal Gadot, and you could also switch them into, hell, Gal Gadot could be the next Hippolyta. You know, like she could usher in what's going on, but getting rid of them is just stupid. Like, I like everybody else, I want to see what they're going to do. Only 2 of the characters, like Superman and Wonder Woman going, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing.
Because people like Gal. People like legitimately like her.
Yeah. She's okay.
Like everybody besides Nadya legitimately
like letting they should learn their lesson. Like the next time you get in your head when you get somebody like The Rock. And I love The Rock because I'm telling you, his show Young Rock is great. Other stuff he's been in. But when you get somebody like that, you kind of need to give them the Disney Scarlett Johansson treatment. Like, oh, you think you're bigger than this? Well, guess what? We can let you go, and the story will continue without you.
She didn't think she was bigger. They did her dirty.
No. I think they did her dirty. But what I'm saying is like that attitude of, if you think you're going to hold us hostage for something, we can replace you and get rid of you at any point, and it won't even make a difference. You know, Yeah, like that's how exactly. Like, you know, if you think you're, you know, how the Temptations, like nobody's coming to see you, Otis. You know, like you do that and then look at him and say, if you think you're bigger than the DCEU, then we don't need you. We'll move on. We'll make somebody else a star, and then you can sit down because we all wanted to see Black Adam and Shazam go at it because I thought it would be really good, but we won't get to see that.
I thought that too, because prior to the movie, they were literally telling us that Henry Cavill was done. They were just like, he's out, he's done, he's walking away. So in the post-credit scene, when Amanda Waller pushed the panic button and the sky started cracking, I thought it was Billy. Yeah. And then when I saw Henry Cavill come out the smoke, I was like, oh, I thought he was done. I thought he was done.
And my last point, because I know Justin's got a time limit. Another thing he did to ruin Black Adam was that you had a chance to really clean up during the summer. Black Adam was supposed to come out early July, or was it late June, where you could have really cleaned up in the box office and had that on your tongue. You don't put Black Adam out 2 weeks before Black Panther is about to come out because you were waiting to film the last part with Henry Cavill. Like that was suicide on the executives' parts for listening. Because what did you think was going to happen? Of course, you weren't going to make the money you had because you only have 2 weeks to make up all that money before Black Panther, which is still in the theaters, killing it with everybody. You had the entire summer. There was nothing out during the summer that would have prevented Black Adam from being like a huge success. It would have been a box office hit because everybody would have been watching it. There was really nothing else. The action was great in it. It had a pretty good, like from middle to end was really exciting. So you would have had that aspect from July, August, September. You would have right up before Comic-Con, you would have killed it. And that's the executive's fault because you don't listen to your star. You listen to what economically would have been great. And this is why they're in the situation they are. So I hope James Gunn looks at them and says, either you listen to me or I can walk because if you guys don't want to fix this universe, then you do what you want with it. And when you die off, that's your problem.
And I'll just say a little bit real quick, and then we'll go to topic 2. My thoughts, Arrowverse, just to piggyback off of Jerrell, what he said, I think what they did with the Arrowverse is DC did for the Arrowverse what Marvel did for the movies. They showed you that you can have a major crossover with major properties, major franchises, and make it work on TV. They did a hell of a job, minus the budget at times. That's probably always been my biggest gripe was the budget and changing certain core things of the Felicity, things like that. But otherwise than that, Arrowverse, definitely, I think when we look back at it, it's going to stand the test and just go like, wow, they did something that Marvel did for film. And it showed people that you can't have these large crossovers until how long was it? Like 8 seasons? When was the Crisis? Was that 7 seasons, 6 seasons then?
I think it was
that was Arrow season 8 when Crisis happened.
Okay, so you can tell 8 years of television, of a consistent story, of separate, self-contained, but make it an overall narrative.
With
that's
9
amazing.
shows.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Snyderverse, like Sean, it's a mixed bag with me as well. I am gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss the actors.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss obviously the first 3 films because I'm one of the few that actually like Batman versus Superman.
So,
I think it's a brilliant film. Ultimate Edition, that is.
Yes.
Thank
you for clarifying.
Ultimate Edition. I think Ultimate Edition is a brilliant film. Like Nadya says, Snyder didn't get his just due, but we will see. Which goes into topic 2 is James Gunn. Since we've been talking about this, the future thoughts on James Gunn, and since I have the ball right now, I'll just go really quickly. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful, but I'm also hopeful James Gunn has someone else to reel him in, and him not going full blown James Gunn as well. I think James Gunn will need also a team behind him. That way, he's not going super crazy too. I'm always lobbying for Bruce Timm, or I say it all the time. Why don't you just get the same people who did the animations? Because clearly they know DC.
Yep.
Clearly,
I've
they
been saying
know
that for like a
DC.
decade.
they're-
Animation.
they're doing something right when it comes to DC animation. I think everyone on this panel can agree that DC animation has always been top notch,
Yep.
and just the way they tell their stories. I think if he has advisors or people in there, because we can't have James Gunn.
Bless you.
Before I pass it on, we can't have James Gunn writing every story. We can't have James Gunn producing everything. Number one, the man's gonna burn himself out. Two, he's already writing a Superman story. So what's next? Or is he gonna do the Batman? Is he gonna do this? If he's writing every story, I mean, for continuity purposes, yeah, it'll make sense because he's the architect of everything. But I think he's gonna need a team behind him that's gonna communicate, and we can't have the too many cooks in the kitchen. You might have to do it in a way of Kevin Feige, like, yeah, you get these directors, but they have to play within the sandbox given. Like, you do not deliberate and have somebody like, oh, but this is my vision. No, stick to the game plan and call
Yeah,
it a day.
that really has to stop. This is my vision shit has to stop.
So, now you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, with going on like what you just said, people
Yeah.
forget that Snyder was a producer on the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yep.
It was not just
Mhm.
Patty Jenkins. The second one, which was terrible, it was just Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
So if Gunn kind of acts, I guess, how Snyder did on that, like maybe as an executive producer with another director, that could potentially be like a good way to kind of finagle everything.
Yeah, Berlanti did the same thing. I mean, when you watch Black Lightning, the show was written and produced by a Black couple, but Berlanti's name was right under theirs when the credits opened, because Black Lightning was still part of an overall story.
And they do make references that, not to sound like a child, but there are a lot of comic book creators on TikTok, and they talk about how DC ruined like a lot of shows like that. Like, you took Black Lightning, which was potentially a hell of a show from the first season on, and you kind of shit the bed with that. On top of that, you shit the bed with Cyborg, and now you're gonna sit down and say, okay, well, we're gonna do what we have to do. Like, they're not, those, as much as we're gonna miss those actors, they weren't exactly happy with what was going on there.
No.
And they want, as much as they're sad for the fans to leave, they kind of want it out. What's going on. They're like, all right, you know what? I'll do something else because you guys clearly are fucking this up.
They put Ben and Cavill through literal hell.
Yeah,
like
they did.
literal, and Ray Fisher, like literal hell.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just with Gunn is optimism. I'm hopeful, but I'm just hoping he reels it back. Like, that's the only thing too, because at the same time, he is a director. Directors are going to have their own vision for certain things, certain products. I think he's going to need a team of people that also are knowledgeable and be like, hey, no, we shouldn't do this. Like Sean was talking about with The Rock. The Rock tried to do a power play for, that's why he keeps saying the hierarchy of DC was taking over. He's talking about him. He's trying to take over DC, and he tried to make Black Adam the forefront of the DCU, like to be the big bad, and it's just like, dude, no one's really, no disrespect to the the character of Black Adam, but when we thinking major DC villains, we thinking Joker, Sinestro, Reverse Flash, Darkseid, Anti-Monitor.
Didn't he say he wanted Black Adam to be the Thanos of the DCU?
Yeah, he did.
I'm like, we have a Darkseid for that. We don't need a Black Adam.
Yeah, what's everybody else's thoughts on James Gunn? Any optimism, hope, or just this is just a huge bad move?
I hope that, well, two things. I don't want him to go in there and try to Disney-fy the DC universe. He doesn't.
Thank you for saying that.
He doesn't need to do that, because that's what makes both. What should separate and makes everything better. What works for Marvel and Disney. It won't necessarily work for DC. I hope he goes in there and he takes the attitude that I'm going to build this universe that is something the fans can enjoy, and it's something that if you're going to go young and you're going to do this, then make this like the animated, when they rebooted the animated Justice League, when they took everybody and nobody knew each other. Superman was new, Batman was new. That entire Justice League Apocalypse thing, Not Dark Apocalypse, but the one with Apocalypse. Now, Dark Apocalypse was depressing, bro.
I loved it, but it
good,
was
but
very
it was
dark.
depressing. Like, it was
Still
like
did Green Lantern dirty too.
yeah, like
Yeah.
when you come in and you have like all the characters coming together for the very first time, and you have them all meeting each other. We can tell they were the younger versions of what was there. If you're gonna go young like that. Have them all meet at different times. Have the younger versions. What scares me, and I didn't mention it from the last section, is you had a few good movies like What's Gonna Happen to the Batman, What's Gonna Happen to
Yeah.
the show, which are really good. If you're gonna keep them as a separate universe, cool. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to reboot the universe with that Batman. I don't know who you're gonna get as a younger Superman to come in because you're gonna have to give somebody to fill some big shoes. Who else are you gonna get as Wonder Woman? Gal Gadot took a lot of shit before she became Wonder Woman and changed everybody's minds.
Yep.
So who you gonna get to come in there? And if everybody does like this person, that worries me. That worries me also because that means I don't know if she's going to be any good. Like Gal Gadot did a lot to prove herself as Wonder Woman. So what are you going to do with that? Who, if you please get rid of Ezra Miller, and who else are you going to get rid of to get in to come as the Flash? Who's going to come in and step in because you need a cyborg in there? Who are you going to get? Like on top of that, Green Lantern has been in limbo ever. You know what I'm saying? And
He's been in limbo in the movies, on HBO Max, and the Arrowverse.
yeah, like how many times? And that is another thing to say. Like you're telling me that as soon as we get the one Green Lantern we all love, the Black Green Lantern, John Stewart, everybody drags their ass about putting the movie out from the Arrowverse, from the movies. I mean, we've been waiting for the Green Lantern core series to come out. Nothing comes out.
They're
So-
still preaching.
Yeah, exactly. So give me something, and it's got to be John Stewart now. Because if you put in Kyle Renner or anybody else in that role, just because you're gonna shit on, you cannot. I will literally walk away from DC. Now it's John Stewart or bust as Green Lantern, and that is it because he was beloved in the Justice League series. I think Hal Jordan, unfortunately, Ryan Reynolds, I think you murdered Hal Jordan as coming out with that. It's not his fault. Terrible right. But like it has to be John Stewart. You can bring everybody else in later, but it has to be John Stewart. We need another cyborg. We need another Flash. You need a Martian Manhunter to come in. I'm trying to think of one other person. That's the 7. It's like Superman,
Aquaman, of course.
Who else are you gonna get to do Aquaman? Like,
well, Jason Momoa is supposed to be Lobo now.
Yeah,
I think it's better casting and perfect casting.
He's better
for
as
him.
Lobo, honestly.
Yeah.
Hey, but that's my problem with recasting the talent because people genuinely love him.
But as Aquaman, was it
but
really Aquaman though?
No, but the problem is you run the risk of fans not giving the new actors a chance because they're not the person they liked.
That's true.
That's why I'm like, you should. As I'm like, yeah, obviously Ezra Miller got to go, but the characters that are like really popular on social media, like you can't get rid of them. Like, you know how many people are going to be like, well, Gal Gadot's my Wonder Woman, so I'm not going to accept this new bitch. Like you don't want that from an executive standpoint.
That's
so
true.
they're gonna have to cast people that people genuinely like from something else. Otherwise, because if it's a fresh face that nobody knows, people are gonna turn on that person very quickly.
The one thing I will say, because I know Nadya is going to jump, maybe instead of getting rid of Gal Gadot, have her as Wonder Woman, and we need to cast Wonder Girl in the Justice League. Maybe have her mentor a younger version like she did in Young Justice.
But then we're going to lose her on Titans.
Well, Titans.
This is the problem with the universe. Period.
I think a lot of that stuff is on its last legs, and once James Gunn officially goes in, everything's getting rebooted. So that's my theory.
Nadya?
Well, I feel like everyone got to go. Like you can't keep anybody. Maybe keep like Amanda Waller, Viola Davis. That's about it. But everyone else, I feel like they have to go. Like even like Sally, like Margot, because you can't keep someone I mean, maybe she'll stay because of the second Suicide Squad, but I still feel like you have to get rid of everybody, like a fresh face, because it's like I said before, there's too many like, oh, this person's here, this person's here. Get rid of everybody, start completely fresh. And then the Matt Reeves verse has to stay completely separate. It's like a different Elseworlds. It's too grounded. He already said he's not gonna have any like mystical anything, no magic, no nothing. So it's gonna be even more realistic than Bale's and Nolan's Batman. It's very grounded. And also he had a Joker in his, so you can't have Joaquin Phoenix. Like it just needs to stay completely separate. I feel like I think I mentioned this before, like keep it like a Black Label. It's completely separate. The Batman, its own universe entirely. The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, its own universe entirely. And then now James Gunn can start fresh and build a completely new universe. And then back on James Gunn, I do like everything he's done. Like he brought Guardians, which is like, not to say sea level, but if you're a non-comic reader, you did not know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. And he made them like a top-notch A, like everyone knows who the Guardians are now. And Peacemaker, he surprised all of us, going back to our episode too. Like he surprised all of us with Peacemaker. So I think he really does have like a great focus on the characters that he can bring. But I'll bring up Taika Waititi. He did a great job with Ragnarok, but I hated Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, so I don't want like Gunn to feel like Taika Waititi, where it's like everything is going to feel the same. I don't want that. But I'm hoping that Gunn will, like we said before, like work with other directors and other writers and bring his vision and have it feel consistent. Like they all work well together, because that was DC's problem before. You'll have too many hands in the basket, nobody knows what they're doing, and they'll say this happened, oh no wait, but that doesn't make any sense continuity wise, but this happened, but this character's in this movie. So if James Gunn has like a real set plan, like we've been asking for like the last 15 years, finally maybe we can get something like solid.
Yeah, and I will just piggyback off of that before we go to the next topic. I just hope, because he has such a love for the underrated obscure characters, I just hope he's not thinking of just putting them all in the forefront and sacrificing. So, like, I mean, we do get a Blue Beetle, but like a Polka Dot Man. He's like, you know, he put Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad, which is cool. But
Yeah,
I don't want to see.
I don't want a Weasel series.
Yeah, a Polka Dot Man series over a Blue Beetle series or something.
And don't change too many characters either, because like they made Ratcatcher like a pretty cute happy girl. Like that's not Ratcatcher.
Yo, listen, I disagree with all of y'all. First of all, Weasel should have been had a series. The man survived. The movie, and then Polka Dot Man was the GOAT.
Polka Dot Man was awesome
in Suicide Squad. So I'm sorry to tell you, like that's what James Gunn goes with two of those characters. I'm with him. I'm gonna ride with him on that one.
I'm watching a Weasel anything.
Oh,
that's no. I think I could agree with that. Anything Weasel, yes, but Polka Dot, I don't know, but. This transitions into actually since we got.
I didn't go.
Oh, I thought you did, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, I piggybacked off something Sean said. I never actually went.
Okay. Go.
Well, like I said earlier, this was a classic example of be careful what you wish for, because I wanted new cooks in the kitchen, but James Gunn was not the chef that I wanted at the helm. Because though I did like the first Guardians movie, I thought the second was complete and utter garbage. I accepted Peacemaker. Peacemaker was really good. I like the second Suicide Squad movie, but there's a pattern here with him doing good with joke characters. I don't want him doing a Batman movie, because as soon as Bruce Wayne tells one bad joke, I'm walking out of the theater. But also at the same time, I can't be that.
I don't think that'll happen.
I hope it doesn't happen. And and because I don't want to be that guy that's like, well, you're blowing up the universe that I actually liked, so now I'm just not going to accept what you do, because I still like DC. James Gunn isn't DC. He's just being in charge of DC. So in the interest of like fairness, I'm going to give him a legitimate shot, but I'm not excited about it, because based on his past work, I know what I might be getting myself into. And there are a lot of, like, I'm afraid for him to do like a Jon Stewart Green Lantern movie. Like there's certain characters I'm like, well, if you do that, that'd be okay. But I'm like, no, don't do that one. Like y'all were saying before, have someone else direct and write
certain characters and just let him oversee it to make sure it fits into the universe that he created. I don't, like he can have the Suicide Squad, like he can have Peacemaker, but for the love of God, like don't do a Wonder Woman. I don't want him doing a Wonder Woman movie.
I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to do what Kevin Feige does. He's going to oversee. He may have his hand in it, but somebody else is going to be writing these stories.
I mean, one positive thing I will say about it, because he did come from Marvel over to DC and people know him as a Marvel person, unfortunately, but it might be a good thing in the long run. That will keep the DC hater brigade at bay. Like the people where it's like they're so in love with Marvel, they just shit on everything about DC. So it's like now because one of their Marvel people are over here, that'll stop the stones being thrown at like the DC office, and people will go into whatever he's going to do with an open mind. They're not just going to be like, oh, it's DC, we're trained to not like DC, so screw it. They're like, oh no, I like James Gunn, he did Marvel stuff, he gave us a talking raccoon, so well, it could be good, but I don't know. Like I said, I've always said on my YouTube channel, I'm never gonna trash something unless I watch it. So I legitimately have to see what he does first before I make a real statement. But I create when they said his name, like I literally cringed.
I think Rocket is somewhere giving you the finger. He was like, "Don't put my name in this."
Well, apparently everything, his universe, everything's supposed to connect, including games, comics. This is supposed to be some really big transmedia type of project.
I think take that lightly though. I don't think take it literally.
Yeah, but because it'll be very hard to keep up with people who are not gamers or reading the comic books to build an entire universe that's like I can see them doing with movies and TV. Yes, but when you're adding games into the mix, it's just like here's the Flash backstory here. Gotta get an Xbox for this one. Or you gotta get a PlayStation for this one, or you gotta get a Switch for this story. And you're like, wait, what did I miss? So like that's what leads to the next topic is the future of DC. Any dream casting, or is there any characters that you would like to see either in films, shows that you hope to get a film or show or game, and a bonus topic if you want to for those who read comic books. Do you think DC Comics can get back to its former glory?
I have a lot for that, actually.
Yes.
I don't think DC ever left its former glory. I don't think DC's been having a problem with the comic books. If you haven't been reading the whole Batman story with Failsafe, I don't think DC has a problem with the comic books, period. I think they're still cranking out amazing stories that people are jumping into. I think that's the only thing that's been keeping them going. I think they're fine on that front. I think the problem, who are we gonna get? Like right now, this is kind of like a long-term relationship, and we just broke up. Like, who else am I gonna see in the place of the person I was just with? Can you ask me now? Do I see who else can I pick to play Superman other than Henry Cavill? No, I only see my boo sitting there staring at. Like I can't see myself with somebody else. I can't see myself. Who can I see with the replaced Gal Gadot? She took so much shit coming into this, and now I can't see anybody else but her. Cyborg, I think you can get anybody to play that. I think Ray Fisher.
That's how I feel about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think Ray Fisher, like, kind of like.
He said, "Just get a random black guy. Tell him to say
he complains so much.
Yeah, we're good to go."
I think he complains so much. People are like, "He was Cyborg." Like, I remember the Doom Patrol Cyborg more than I remember him so much. Ezra Miller. The only reason I'm remembering Ezra Miller is that I feel there's some poor Hawaiian family somewhere tied up. You know what I'm saying? Because he's off his meds. So him going, I think. There's a bunch of people we can pick to play the Flash, including bringing the CW Flash in to play him.
Can I say something about that real quick? Because for the last God knows how many years, whenever somebody said have Grant Gustin do it, I always thought that was like the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Because he's on a completely different earth, and it's like just because you like him doesn't mean you can just drop him next to Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. But now that the Arrowverse is officially ending, and because he's starting over and everybody loves Grant, Now plugging him into that would make sense.
And I would actually like to see him play the Flash on a real bigger budget, and we could really
absolutely.
like.
You got to keep
like he's a brilliant
Iris.
actor, so like him on a bigger budget as the Flash as Barry Allen he'll kill it. Obviously, he's been playing the character for 9 years. There's no doubt about it. But you know, I would like to see. You know, I would like to see. I mentioned this character before, but I would like to see the Question get some burn.
Yep, I agree.
I would like to see the Question. I would like to see
that
a
would
little
be a
bit more
movie.
Yeah, like that would be like I could see Matt Reeves doing that one, or incorporating that somehow into Batman or something. Like I would like to see a little bit more of like I would like to see Kyle Ren as Green Lantern. I want to see new people or characters that I know from Justice League Unlimited. I know James Gunn already alluded to doing something about Mr. Terrific, because he posted a picture of him, and he's posted pictures of some other, I would say, I want to say D-list, C-list type of DC characters. So you can tell that he's really digging deep into the
old. It ain't gonna get no deeper than Polka Dot Man and Weasel. So.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's. I just want to see more new fresh faces. I'm personally hoping to see Legion of Doom. Hopefully, God willing, we get the Legion of Doom.
Just as a hashtag before you finish. The man has been preaching across the Marvel universe, DC universe, like Martin Luther King. Like, somebody please give Diggle a damn job as Green Lantern. Like the man, like for years, all we saw was the Ring and him walking around giving "I Have a Dream" speeches. Please make him the Green Lantern. You know,
I mean, I would like to see more female characters being brought in. I would like to see a Vixen project. I would love to see the Fatal Furies brought in. You know, like, because you didn't show me Granny Goodness in the Snyder Cut. Like, I need Big Barda. Like, I need the Furies. I would like to see one thing Black Adam did. I actually wanted Hawk Girl, not Hawk Man. I would like to see something with Hawk Girl and more emphasis on like the female Batman characters. Like, we should have got a legitimate like Gotham City Sirens project by now.
Yeah, that should have been happening, but we got
like that should have been happening. But it's not so much like the characters that I want to see. I'm more afraid for the ones that we already have, because I like Titans. Like, Doom Patrol seems like a James Gunn layup. You know what I'm saying? That seems like a show that was perfectly made for him. They canceled Batgirl. I want to see the Blue Beetle project, and I don't want the Blue Beetle project to go away just because it's not on James Gunn's, like superhero list. So keep whatever you're doing with the Blue Beetle, like keep that. Like, don't take away anything that's currently working. Shit, bring back Swamp Thing. Like, like I want, Zatanna. I would like to see a Zatanna project. I was kind of waiting for that, and more emphasis on Supergirl. Like, because I love Supergirl on the television show. Like, and because of COVID and Melissa Benoist getting pregnant, she chose to bow out of Supergirl after 6 seasons, and I really like Supergirl. So to get a Supergirl on the big screen would be nice.
Well, Supergirl's in the Flash movie.
Yeah, but I don't think we're not going forward with that though. Like, Ezra Miller jacked it up, and then I don't think James Gunn's gonna.
And it's not Kara either. It's the one from the Injustice storyline.
I need a Kara Danvers. And he said something that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but James Gunn was quoted as saying that he thought Zack Snyder rushed the Justice League, and then in the same sentence he was like, "I'm gonna create a universe where the Justice League already knows each other." And I'm like, isn't that the same thing?
Well, then they have to be older. They can't be younger.
Yeah.
But he said that. But it's like, you can't say, I thought Zack Snyder rushed it, and then say, I'm going to do something where they're already friends.
I don't think Zack
That's the same thing.
Rushed it, though. I think Warner Brothers saw the
exactly.
Avengers
Warner
and got
Brothers
shook.
rushed it.
But my point is, if you say the previous guy rushed it,
mm-hmm.
and you're going to start with it, isn't that worse?
It has to be a young Bruce if they're going to start fresh. They can't be young if they're already established.
Yeah, like I didn't understand that. I was
it's
like,
not going to make sense.
like
Especially if they want to build a whole new universe, they have to be younger.
If they do something like Justice League War, like they were pretty young in that.
Well, Justice League War, they all existed individually, and the arrival of Darkseid just forced them to bump into each other.
Yeah. Are you going to say something, Sean?
No, I was going to say that's the problem with young, especially when it comes to Batman. Batman is so complicated. if you do Batman too young, you run the risk of getting like he's not the detective and he's not what he is. If you do him too old, then you're gonna have to start dipping into storylines like what happened to Jason. Where are the other Robins? Like where's Dick Grayson running around out here with this? So you have to find a middle point where he's not in this universe. He hasn't picked a Robin, or he hasn't done anything, but he's still seasoned enough to be Batman. And the Batman we can all understand. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't have too much of a problem with Ben Affleck, but I feel like Ben Affleck was not the detective that Robert Pattinson was in there, and that's what I miss about Batman, that he does figure out everything before everybody else does. And it's not just like, let me grab the gun, let me run my car in there, let me beat everybody's ass, and then that's the end of it. Like, I need you to figure things out to be that to be the big brain of the Justice League when everybody else just wants to run in and just fight.
Yeah.
To come up with a plan. And if you do it too young, you're not going to get those characters. You're going to get them all learning together. You're going to get a young Superman just learning his powers. You can get a young Wonder Woman who's going to be still from Themyscira, and I hate men.
It's going to be like all men suck.
Yeah, like, you're going to get, if you get a Flash, you're going to get a Flash that basically we got with Whedon's character. He has no idea what he's doing, and Zack Snyder did a great job showing us that the Flash was very good. Like, he's A-listed. So you can't. This is going to be a complicated time for DC, and a very scary time for them, because you're late in the game right now. Marvel has everything established to the point where we're all waiting to see what happens with Secret Wars and everything else. Until we're looking ahead to the ending of the phases, whereas DC is, I know you're moving.
We'll save that for the next one.
Yeah, that's next episode, actually.
I got some phase 4.
Yeah, that's what I said. But the truth is, everybody's excited to see how this ends. Whereas DC, are we gonna get excited to see how it begins? And I've said this to Justin before. You're starting this over, and I think that in the next year or so, this is going to be the year of the anime. Anime puts out one good live action besides Battle Angel Alita, and then the next thing you know, even Marvel's going to have a problem keeping up with how many people are going to flock to anime compared to comic books. So, are you too late with this, or are you going to have enough time to flesh this out and get where you want to get?
And we are going to enter our lightning round. So
I got like 1,000 things to say.
Okay.
We didn't do the comics one either yet.
Go ahead.
But the one before that. All right. First, I forgot to mention, I wanted to say a little something else about Man of Steel, which kind of ties into what I'm going to say about the Batman. So one of the complaints that people said with the Snyderverse was that it's too dark. Yes, it was dark, but it's part of storytelling and character development. So one of the complaints a lot of people gave was that in Man of Steel, how he kills Zod and snaps his neck. And I think that was beautiful because that's part of his character development and his arc and how he becomes Superman. He becomes hopeful after he has to go so far as killing someone, and that develops him into Superman. So similar to the Batman, like I was saying, this one is also grounded, and a lot of people were complaining that he's too goth and he's too emo. When I wrote the original Batman review, that was one of the things that I loved about it, because he's not Bruce Wayne or Batman yet. He has to grow. And in the Batman, he eventually becomes, I'm hoping in the sequel, that he'll become Bruce Wayne, because now he knows he has to have a secret identity. Yeah. Everyone that reads Batman knows that Batman is not his secret identity. Bruce Wayne is his secret identity. So in sequels and going further, they're going to develop that more. So people saying that, oh, Batman's not their favorite, I can see how not yet. But people complaining that he's too goth and emo don't know that he's not there yet. That's part of storytelling. So going further with the Batman universe, there's so much they can explore. Like, I want to see Scarecrow. I want to see Mr. Pig. I wonder if they'll tap into Ra's al Ghul and Talia, because it's like I was saying, like they're gonna stay very grounded and realistic. Yeah. So I wonder how they're gonna get into the League of Assassins. But Nolan also did the League of Assassins, so they can kind of make it realistic and maybe not get into like the Lazarus Pit, but make it more like training wise. And then like eventually they can introduce like a Damian Wayne and stuff like that. I don't know. But I just feel like there's so much they can do and so much they can pull from if they just stick with like one kind of concept. And then what did I want to get into?
Comics.
Sorry. I had Dreamcast, yes. Jamie Campbell Bower, I would like to play Scarecrow. And are we gonna do fan castings or we're not gonna do fan castings? I could do that another time.
We will have to do that another time.
Yeah, I could do that another time.
Well, this is what I was telling you before. This is setting it to an hour is good, but you're gonna go over a little bit.
No, we just need less like topics. We're good because we talk a lot. But are we still gonna do the comic reads?
You could do that.
All right. So
we're just gonna go over. Go ahead.
I'll just do it real quick.
It's fine.
So I mentioned DC Black Label. I'm a big fan of Black Label. There's Harleen. There's Batman Damned. Batman Beyond the White Knight. I'm a huge Sean Gordon Murphy fan. And this is a limited series. It's like a futuristic neo-Gotham. And it just takes readers to places you would never think. And even the Batman is kind of somewhat inspired by Sean Gordon Murphy's verse. I highly recommend it. And then The Nice House on the Lake from James Tynion. It's a horror. And then I had one more I wanted to recommend. Yes, another limited series, Dark Knights of Steel from Tom Taylor. It's an Elseworld. So imagine Clark's parents didn't die, and if Batman was a knight. So it's like a whole medieval take, and I highly recommend that.
All right.
Yeah,
so
anything worth anything right now. Been a little busy, but I think she summed it up great.
That's my little buzzard. So that is the hour. We will have we'll do a bonus one. So Nadya, you could do your fan cast in a minute. So that was the hour. I'm gonna hit the outro. Obviously the outro will tell you who to follow, where to meet them. But if everyone wants to plug it in of new things you're doing right now, you can do that right now because the outro is not going to say that. So you're working on a new project or you're working on a review or something like that. Just, you have the floor.
I plugged all that in the beginning, but I will say this. If any of you purchase Gotham Knights and do plan on playing Gotham Knights, like I already beat it, and there's going to be a point when you start playing where you're going to need backup, and call me when that happens. Because the way they built the universe, it's cool to the point where, let's say if Nadya is playing in her Gotham City and she's Robin in her Gotham City and she's fighting the Scarecrow, I can actually join. I can pick a character, jump into her world, and not only can her and I run around her city and do things together. Let's say like if there's 2 different missions that she has to do, I can do one of them on one side of the city while she does the other, and she'll still get credit for it, on her PlayStation thing. So it's yeah, but the only thing is you can only do 2 people at a time. But I'm just saying, but if anybody need backup, call me.
All right. Anybody else got some final words before we head out?
Nope. I think most of my projects are on hold right now, so I'm good.
All right. So that's it. Later days, hit the outro. We're out. Peace.
Thank you for joining us for Otakus Geeks The Hour. Support the podcast by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. For more on Justin, you can check out imaginativevisions.com. For more on Nadya, you can check out gothamgeekgirl.com. For more on Sean, check out his podcast, It's Chronicles, on Anchor FM. For more on Jerrell, check out his YouTube channel, Red Eyes Entertainment. Later days.